I feel very sad. I mean, I'm very sad that I will be no longer will be a member of the parliamentary party of Fine Gael, the party that I've been in since I was 18. So I'm very sad. But at the same time, I feel a bit relieved because this is obviously a huge issue that's been weighing on everybody's minds for months and months and months. It's no exaggeration to say that I think an awful lot of people have really struggled to make a decision on how they would vote in this legislation. And obviously now 5 members of the Dáil from my parliamentary party have felt that they just simply couldn't support it and are excluded automatically from our parliamentary party. So
you had a word with the Taoiseach on the way out. What did you say to each other?
I wished him luck. I've worked in his department for the last 2 years and nearly 2.5 years, and we've had a great relationship. I have the height of admiration for him and how he conducts his business, particularly on the European stage. He has done a huge amount to rebuild the stature and the credibility of this country, and I hope that I have contributed to that with him. So I'm very sad. I mean, I love my job. I've been very privileged to perform my functions and my duties as Minister for European Affairs over the last 2 years and more. And it's very sad for me that's over. But that's, I knew the consequences, obviously, when I voted the way I did this evening.
Do you see a route back into Fine Gael
what do you think
for
you
yourself?
inside in the chamber when you approached him? What did he say to you?
Well, I'm not going to. If he wants to tell you what he said to me, he can do that himself. I'm not going to speak for him. We just had a brief couple of words.
Do you see a route back into Fine Gael for yourself now in the near future?
It's hard to know what the future holds, to be honest. I am a member of Fine Gael, as I said. I've been one since I was old enough to vote. I will continue to work with my local organisation. I have great supporters. I know that they feel very compromised now between their loyalty to me and their loyalty to Fine Gael. But my assurance to them is that there is no conflict. I will be campaigning and working with all of our candidates for the local elections and European elections next year. We have to select a new candidate for Dublin to replace Gay Mitchell. Whoever that is, I'll be working with them. I'm a constructive team player. I believe that this country has a lot of, the government has a lot of work to do to really get this country back on its feet, and I want to be part of that. I hold no rancor or bitterness or anything like that. I'm very sad, but I genuinely wish Enda Kenny and all of the government.
Lucinda, can
you going to resign from your ministry, as a junior minister?
I think I'll have to do that, yeah, because otherwise it would have to be delayed until the cabinet meeting, and I don't think that would be in anybody's interest.
Lucinda, some of your colleagues said that they resented being put in this position where they had a general election commitment that they felt that they should honour, and they resented being put in this commitment where they had to vote against that. Do you resent being put in that position?
I think life is too short to be resentful, but I know my own mind, and I know that we made a clear commitment for the last election. I repeated that commitment. I meant it. I held it sincerely, and unfortunately this legislation is a breach of that commitment, and that's why I couldn't support it. That's the bottom line. Promises matter, and to me, in politics, it's always difficult when you're in a coalition to honour promises, pre-election promises, but we have to strive to do that, and this is a promise on such a fundamental issue. There was no way that I could, in any good conscience, break this promise.
Can you say, will you vote with the government on every other measure to come before the House?
I'm not going to, start making rash comments here. My intention is to work for the betterment of this country. I'm a member of your office, the 31st Dáil. I'm very proud to hold that office. Some people say you're only going to be a TD. I'm very honoured to be a TD, one of 166, probably too many in my view, but anyway. And I think I can make a big contribution that way by proposing policies, coming up with fresh ideas, and that's what we need in this country. We need people to think, to use their intellect, and not to just always go with the flow. And I really mean that. We need to have good ideas emanating from our Parliament to solve the problems that this country faces, and I will be playing my part in that.
As things stand, do you see yourself contesting the next election in 2 years' time? Do you intend being a member of this Parliament?
Look, I said before the last election that I never really took any decision about the last election until a convention came up in my constituency. I really do not want to be a politician that spends the 5-year period between one election and the next simply campaigning to get re-elected. I've never been one of those politicians, and I don't intend to become one.
Some people have suggested you might run for Europe next year. Is that something that might be on your mind?
Absolutely not. I can definitively tell you I have no intention of running for Europe, but whoever is the Fine Gael candidate, and I have some thoughts about who I'd like it to be, I will be giving them all of my support.
And any thoughts on, there's been a lot of speculation about you leading a new party, setting up a new party. Any thoughts on that?
No. I've no such grand ambitions. I'm just, look, this is a huge shock to me. I mean, even though I suppose I've known how I was voting, it's still a big shock to find that you're suddenly out of your party and, have to carve out a new sort of existence in Leinster House, and that's what I want to do. But the first thing I want to do is just, spend some time in my constituency, talk to my friends, my colleagues, my supporters, and my constituents, and just take a little bit of time to think and to regroup. We're all leaving here at the end of next week for the summer recess. I mean, not leaving, but the Dáil won't be sitting to be less intense and pressurised, and I think that will give me a good chance to think about how things will go in the autumn.
Listen, you're in a very liberal constituency. Have you spoken to your constituents, and how do they feel about you voting against it?
I've had a huge amount of correspondence from constituents, and it's very mixed. I think, I suppose I don't necessarily always agree with the definition of liberal, which is sometimes accepted by the media, but I consider myself to be very liberal and progressive. I simply don't support abortion, and there are many, many people in my constituency who share that view, and many who don't, and I respect them all. But we have 4 TDs in Dublin South East. 3 of them are in favour of this legislation, 1 of them is now not. So I think that the minority also has to be entitled to have its view and its voice heard, and I think that a lot of my constituents very much respect the fact that I have voted according to my conscience here today, and many of them have contacted me to say that, even those who are pro-choice. So it's not necessarily as black and white as people might think.
And you're confident you can remain Vice President of Dublin Field?
Well, yes. I mean, I'm elected. I was elected at the EPP Congress in Bucharest last November for a 3-year mandate, and I will be fulfilling it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Thanks, Susanna. Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.